You're listening to FAMcast, the For All Manakind podcast, with your hosts, the competitive spirit, Trey Simpson, our own devil's advocate, Tim Weber, and the hopelessly optimistic Trevor Jorgensen. This is FAMcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to FAMcast. This is episode 78. I am joined by the Yari Master himself, Mr. Tim Weber.
That's me. You almost forgot my name.
I did. I was like, what's his name? I've worked with him a little bit. I think I'm friends with him. Name begins with a T, which doesn't really narrow it down for us.
No, not at all.
So this one's a little, and I apologize. This is kind of on me. This one's a little overdue, because I've wanted to talk about Xbox buying Bethesda for. It's probably almost been a week, if it hasn't been a week exactly now. But we've been doing some stuff that you'll probably see here soon. I've been working on that, and we've all just had some personal stuff going on. But me and Tim are finally here to talk about it. And I think there's a lot to unwrap here. I've had some people text. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it never hurts to get a reminder of this, because this is such a big deal.
This isn't like some little. This isn't like a little acquisition. Not that I feel like anymore. Like even like when they announced Obsidian, that wasn't just like a small deal. Obviously Bethesda is a little more grander on that scale, but that was still a huge deal. So here to kind of unwrap that, give our opinions on this. None of us know what's going on in Phil Spencer's mind as far as what will happen, but these are just kind of our thoughts. I mean, I guess, Tim, he's your best friend.
Me and him talk all the time. He actually called me. I kind of gave the go ahead with this. Like he came to me for approval, thinking, okay, what do you think about this? How do you think to spend? Like, look, there's a lot of avenues we can go down with. I say just go for it. If you got the money, cash, just do it.
Tim's like, I want follow games exclusively on Xbox. I don't want my friends playing on any other system. They all need to play with me.
This is how I get this to happen, finally.
So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, so I guess we'll just get started. So about a week ago, I'm sure many of you have seen, but if you didn't, Microsoft spent $7.5 billion to acquire Bethesda Softworks.
In cash. That was in big print. Like, they made a point that they brought bills when they did this.
It was a semi-truck, just crates, barrels full of money. To kind of put that into perspective, like how much money that is to acquire Bethesda, Disney only paid $4 billion to acquire Star Wars. So I don't like that. That obviously is that's probably the biggest media acquisition I can think of outside of, like Disney and Fox, which is now, just as big, but go ahead.
It was more than just Bethesda though, right? Like Bethesda's the big part of it, but it was like they acquired, what was it, ZeniMax or?
Yeah. So basically all parts of Bethesda. I think it's Bethesda Softworks is the umbrella. So they've got like Bethesda Studios under there. You said ZeniMax. I forget what all the others are. I thought there was like 7 total. Like there's big ID, ID,
id, which is huge.
id. However you want to say it. I think id is the correct term, but I always, when I see that,
just software.
say ID. Yeah, id software. So I mean, think about how big that is, right? So they acquired Doom, Dishonored, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, which I think is probably the biggest one.
Starfield.
That's going to be interesting.
The unknown game that never actually will come to flourishing.
Yeah, I saw it was one of those Facebook articles that kind of pops up and you're like, this is definitely like fake. But they're like, the first screenshots from Starfield. And yeah, I check I check those things out just to like, I don't know, sometimes it's fun to just look. I'm really interested to see what they do with that 5 years from now when it goes into beta. But anyway, so this is obviously a really big acquisition. And I think the first thing that came to everyone's mind, because they announced this the day before PS5 pre-orders went live. That wasn't coincidence. Like, that is a very strategic move.
Wait, the day before PS5 or Xbox?
Sorry, Xbox.
That makes sense.
Yeah, right? It was Xbox.
Right, I'm pretty sure it was Xbox. Because PlayStation went live prior.
Yes, because it was a whole mess. The day before Xbox. To be like, hey, we know that you're still debating these consoles. Here's why you should pick us.
So, like, look, we're lacking in the exclusive department. We understand, and not anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's probably I've seen this debated all over Twitter. I've honestly gone back and forth a little bit myself too, but I think the biggest question on everyone's mind is, does this mean all Bethesda games moving forward are going to be Xbox exclusive?
Microsoft exclusive.
Microsoft exclusive, right? Yeah. Because yes, with Game Pass, because now that they're a part of Xbox, we're talking day one launches for new games. We're talking not having to pay $60 to $70 to play it. So I definitely have a few opinions of my own, and I don't even think I'm cemented in that. But I want to ask you first, because we haven't really talked about this yet. What do you think this means for Bethesda being exclusive or not exclusive to Microsoft?
So here's, if I'm a businessman and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, so Sony has some great titles. Sony has some phenomenal titles, right? Titles that you will literally pay whatever that cost of that system is just to play, at least myself in that list. And what can we do, since, we have a bunch of studios as Microsoft under our hands, under us, what can we do to help even this playing field? And I think if you're Microsoft at this point, you don't necessarily make them exclusive. You don't come out saying these are going to be exclusive titles. You use those as bargaining chips to get exclusives away from Sony. Hey, Sony, you want Fallout 5? We want Last of Us. Hey, Sony, you want but you know what I'm saying?
No, I hadn't thought about that. I thought you were going in a different direction, and you kind of were, but then that's definitely an interesting that's an interesting thought.
I think it's a good way for them to make, because let's face it, Microsoft has never been strong in the exclusive game, right? That's really probably their biggest lackluster area when it comes to the market, is that in itself. So how do you even the playing field? You get rid of that completely by making it to where you have several of the biggest titles out there under your belt that you can now use to unhinge and to get those titles you want from Sony onto your console.
Sure.
And as fans, if you're a PlayStation person, are you really going to sit there and be like, no, don't give them God of War. We don't care about Elder Scrolls 6. No, you're about, do that. Like, that's okay.
And
those are big time. Now, look, maybe that's a stretch in terms of the exclusivity, what they would reach for, right? But there are, I'm sure, other exclusive titles that Microsoft can utilize these titles to get their hands on.
Yeah.
Because,
I think it's interesting you say that, because I think what you're saying falls in line with Phil Spencer's kind of vision for kind of the gaming industry. Let me read you a quote real quick. So this is Phil Spencer, I believe back in 2019. He said, "Gaming is about entertainment and community and diversion and learning new stories and new perspectives. I find it completely counter to what gaming is about to say that part of that is to lock people away from being able to experience those games, or to force someone to buy my specific device on the day that I want them to go and buy it in order to partake in what gaming is all about. Gaming is bigger than any one device."
That's my boy Phil right there. Coming in with the deep words.
That quote right there, that after reading that led me to believe, because when I first read it, I'm like, yeah, those are their exclusives now. Like, why wouldn't they? That's their weak link, and now they have these huge AAA titles only on Xbox. Only on Game Pass, PC, whatever you want there. Because one thought process is you don't pay $7.5 billion to not make them exclusive, right? Like you don't throw down that much money to make them exclusive. That's one thought. And I can definitely see that. The other thought is, okay, these are your games now. And now you allow them to be playable on PlayStation 5 to where you're going to make some of that money off of that, because it's
Sure.
like you're developing and, publishing these games. You're going to make some of that money whether PlayStation 5 owners buy them or not.
Right.
But I think the catch is, and this is why I don't think that they will be exclusive. You spread that reach out, right? So, okay, everybody can play Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 and Starfield. Everyone can play it, but you can play it on PS5 for $70, or you can play it on Xbox with your Game Pass subscription that you probably already have for nothing day one.
Right.
Because and at this point, if you have an Xbox and you're playing multiplayer, you more than likely have gold. Which, if you have gold, you probably have the Game Pass Ultimate. Yep. So you're paying $15 a month to have everything. You're getting those day one launch titles. Are you really going, even if you have both consoles, even for someone that isn't like on the fence that, okay, I'm only going to get one or the other, it's kind of hard. You can't look away. And I think that's where Microsoft is going with it. They're making Game Pass something that cannot be ignored. You can't ignore the fact that you can get all these AAA games now for nothing. You're not paying any money down.
$15 a month.
Yeah, you're paying $15 a month that you're probably paying already, versus $70, $60 to $70, I guess, is the official Sony price range. But that's how do you turn away from that? So
you don't, and Game Pass was already the best deal, right, in my opinion, in gaming history right now that's out, right? If you have Game Pass Ultimate, you have the best bang for your buck that I think we've ever seen on any generation in terms of value. And Microsoft just made that 3 times better by acquiring what they just acquired.
Yep.
Like, hands down, they made it untouchable by any other service almost.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And maybe, and please, some other service prove me wrong. I would be 100% okay to see what else is out there for that. But think about it in terms of, okay, so now you have this, right? So like you're saying, so now you're not going to make these titles exclusive. Because that doesn't fall in line with what Phil Spencer says. But what does fall in line with what he said was he doesn't like exclusives, more or less. He doesn't like them being locked away on certain consoles. So now, again, they have these bargaining chips that they can use to pull exclusives away from Sony, which I would almost bet something on that will happen. We are going to see big titles not be PlayStation exclusives in the future. Of course, the titles that are already out now, I mean, that's a different story. But in the future, I really think, don't be surprised if another Uncharted game comes out and it's on Xbox. Or something like that, or Ratchet and Clank. I mean, clearly not the newest one, but I'm just, we have to think a good chunk into the future right now, because nothing's going to happen right now. Sure. But now you look at that and they're like, okay, Ratchet and Clank's coming to Xbox now. Awesome. And then, they're going to get the new Starfield, because that might be the soonest one we get, right? So they'll get Starfield. So now you break away from, there's not really a whole lot of exclusives, but now, not only are there not exclusives, Microsoft has the advantage with Game Pass still.
Yeah.
Exclusives or not, now all your games that you want to play, or these a good chunk of games, they're not free to you, but they're essentially included in your subscription that you're going to have most likely one way or another.
Right.
Yeah. There's not a hard choice of really, unless you're really a diehard fan or you have those friends, and people just like it, and that's fine. I'm not saying go away from PlayStation, not at all, but I'm saying the choice is at that point is definitely balanced more on Microsoft's end than it would be on Sony's.
So I think this may be, because I think we've kind of agreed up to this point, and this might be where I diverge a little bit. Because I feel like Sony is almost always like they stand their ground, like when they decide on something. I feel like think about crossplay and how big of a battle that was. And I know you said we're thinking pretty far into the future. So I don't think we would see like PlayStation games on Xbox anytime soon, or Like me personally, I feel like they know that that's their strong suit, and I think that they'll hold on to it. Now, if Xbox puts the pressure on them, like you said, could we see a trade? I don't know. I think ideally that's what Phil Spencer would want, because he wants everyone to be able to play everything.
Right.
And if everybody can play everything, then there's no reason not to play it on Xbox, where you can get it all on Game Pass.
So
not everything.
Right. With everything being so open, right? Like
Yeah.
if something happens, we hear about it almost instantly, right? So imagine if you're a PlayStation fan and you hear that Microsoft's trying to strike a deal with Sony to let hey, this new Bethesda's game coming out and we're wanting to let you guys have it, but we would also we want Microsoft fans to be able to play this game. And you as a Sony fan or PlayStation owner, you want to play this new Starfield game coming out.
Yeah.
But Sony's saying no. So Sony's saying no, we don't want to do that deal. Microsoft's offering up the opportunity for you to be able to play this game, and your home team is denying you that opportunity.
It's funny you say that, because my thought process is the exact opposite, to where because again, I don't think I'm completely on board with the bartering. Mm-hmm. I see it as if Xbox does make these exclusives, then at that point, who's the bad guy? Who's the one that is telling the PlayStation 5 owners, like, hey, you've loved the Fallout and Elder Scrolls franchise for decades now, but you can't play it on that console that you bought. You're going to have to pick up an Xbox.
But who's the bad guy for not allowing it to go through? If Microsoft approaches first and says, we will let this happen, all we want is Ratchet and Clank for this title.
That's if
correct.
That's the course that they go. But if it's just hey, these are our games, and they're on Xbox.
Oh, of course. At that point, you're just playing the money game.
Yeah.
And you're not caring about the consumer.
Because I think just to get as many viewpoints as possible, I think a lot of people could say, so you see that Phil Spencer quote, and you're like, yeah, he's not for exclusives. But it's easy to say that when you don't have exclusives,
100%, yes.
Like it's easy to say,
yes.
it's all about breaking down barriers. But when you have those exclusives, now when it's in your favor, now it's like, well, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe this is how we can kind of change the tides, I guess.
I really, honestly, I know I'm really on it. I really think it's a bargaining. I really think they're going to be on that. I think that's the number one reason you get a studio like Bethesda right now, as big as they are, the number of hits they have. Yeah. I mean, why else do you acquire something that big? Because, I mean, realistically speaking, if you're not going to utilize it other than the Game Pass feature, why pay that much money for it? Why would you pay that much money to acquire a company that you're going to allow your fans to play the games for free anyway? They're not even going to pay for it. Yeah. Right? So there's more to it than just that. And I really think it's to bring down the barriers of the exclusives, just in general, as a whole, is to get rid of it. And, I'm not saying Sony won't have their big exclusives stay with them. And I don't think Microsoft would necessarily try to go at the biggest and best. But there are definitely some good exclusives that Sony has that I don't think they would necessarily mind giving up if it meant getting some Bethesda titles on their consoles.
Yeah, I think, and I might be, this might be a bad viewpoint. I don't know. This might be a bad take, but I think exclusives, as shitty as they are, like nobody wants to feel left out of their favorite franchise, but at the same time, I think exclusives drive or competition drives innovation, right? Like if we have everyone on the level playing field at that point, do people just stop pushing because it's available everywhere? I don't know. I don't want it to become this I don't even know what I'm trying to say at this point. I don't know if exclusives are as evil as people make them out to be. I want things to be as accessible as possible, but I also don't want that innovation to go away. That competition.
You don't want things to become stale.
Yeah, I don't want people to. Okay, it's available everywhere. Oops, just hit my mic. It's available everywhere. So I don't know. I'll drop it because I don't know if it's a fully formed thought.
I mean, I get it, right? So your fear is if there's no more exclusives in the world, then why do you need to be innovative, right? Like where's the drive to be better than the next guy if it's not needed?
Yeah, like
but
I don't want, and in kind of in that same breath, I don't want Xbox and Sony, because I think the more companies that they acquire, they start to become these big conglomerates, like how Netflix and Disney are. Well, not Netflix really, I guess maybe, but like Disney's buying Star Wars, and they've got Marvel, and they've got Fox. At what point do they just have a hold on everything to where they can start charging, hey, if you want to watch this movie day one,
right,
on top of your subscription, we're going to charge you $50. Like who's going to say no? Because at that point they have control over all the media.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's just a scary thought. I think that's
yeah.
Maybe it's not as bad as I'm making out to be. I think I'm just fearful.
I don't think that's as big of an issue. I don't think exclusives will ever go away entirely. Right, like, so Microsoft made this purchase. Doesn't mean they're going to give up Halo ever.
Right,
you know, they're not going to give up Gears of War.
Yeah,
because they don't have a reason to. And I think a lot of the creativity isn't so much. I mean, in the gaming industry, I have a hard time feeling that all the creativity we see is purely because of competition, right? I mean, you can see some of it for sure in like Destiny. What was the one that failed miserably by EA?
Anthem.
Anthem was really bad. And like you can see where some of that comes into play, because you can see them like teetering off of each other, right, as they get developed and come forward. But I would also like to, I mean, a lot of the credit where credit's due. Some people are just creative and they just want to see their worlds created, right, competition or not.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think those are the ones that we see the best games come from.
I would 100% agree with you, and I'm really regretting what I said, because I don't think I was able to fully articulate what I was trying to say, because I don't want to say like, oh yeah, it's best if we just like copy each other's games and then just like make a few changes, and like that's not what I want. I, like you said, those creative games that are just so different from anything else that anyone's ever played. But I'm gonna drop it. I'll just
you're
say,
good.
Yeah,
I get what I will. Let me say that I get what you're saying. Like I do. Whether you think you didn't bring the like what you said makes sense. Like, and I don't think anybody listening wouldn't understand that. Like, it makes sense. Like the fear of, if there is no competition between the two, it could become stale at times, and we might not see it as quickly. You know, and it's just one of those things. So I get that 100%. I just think that that's not, at least not at this point in time, the thing that would be the play.
Sure. I think, kind of circling back to the I guess the main topic with Bethesda and Microsoft, I think the key component here is Game Pass.
100%.
I think that is 100% what this is about. Without Game Pass, would it be as big a deal? It'd still be a huge deal, don't get me wrong.
I mean, yeah.
But the fact that everything is just, it's day one launch included in Game Pass, they're, like I said it before, they're just making Game Pass into something that cannot be ignored. And it was already there. Like, Game Pass was already kind of like, everybody knew about it. Like, what great a deal Game Pass is. 15 million subscribers, I think that they announced that same day, and it's only going to grow with this announcement. So Game Pass is it's really, I feel like it's Game Pass versus the PlayStation 5, not necessarily the Series X or S. You know, like they've got these powerful consoles to compete with the PlayStation 5, but at the end of the day, if you can play, over 150 games,
and growing,
for $15 a month, or you're paying $60 to $70, I think the announcement of the $70 games kind of was a little bit of a stab in Sony's side there, because I haven't seen anything like that from Xbox.
And it's like it's not like Netflix where, you know, okay, there's a bunch of movies on there. A lot of them are old. We'll get the new movies in a year or so. No, I mean, a lot of this is like the first party day one games. Boom, there you go. And now that includes Bethesda and all of them and any Xbox Studio game. Like, so that's the thing about Game Pass that makes it so good. Like, there have been other gaming subscriptions that do something similar to like this, but not to the scale that this is at. Not like it's crazy at how well it is. And the nice thing is, other than xCloud, the games you buy or the games you can play, you download, so you're not streaming them, so they look good. You know, like I know PlayStation Now is a streaming service versus just a download and play service for the most part. So like Game Pass is, I want to see competition for Game Pass because it would only it would only drive better deals, better stuff. I don't think we'll see one, at least not for a minute, because it's gonna take something a lot to catch up to what that thing's doing
for sure. Because when it first launched, like it was a pretty big deal, but it wasn't anywhere near what it is now.
No, it was okay.
And I guess to counter my earlier point, because just an open discussion, right? These are just kind of the first thoughts that are coming to mind. But so at the same time, if we do have these other subscription, you know, gaming as a service models, at what point do we fall into the same situation that we did with cable, right? Like you paid monthly for cable and you got everything, but now we've split off to where people are cutting cable, and now you've got Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and you're back to paying what you were before. Now granted, it's a little more like you have more control over what you pay for. So if you only want Netflix, cool, you're paying $15 or whatever it is a month. But I think that could be a dangerous route to go down too. I don't know.
I don't think that's in the near future if it's a worry to begin with.
Definitely not. I don't think it's in the near future at all. So, but before I forget, we did have a fan question pop up when we posted about this last week that I wanted to bring up. So Aaron Wheeler asked, how will this impact Sony and Nintendo? Will all future games go straight to Game Pass or just titles that are already out? So maybe I'll answer the second question first. So I think what we'll see, I mean, we just saw Doom Eternal launch today, I think, on Game Pass, which is pretty big because it hasn't been out, but
not even a year.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months or so, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
so good.
I think that's huge. I think we've already seen some Bethesda games on there. I think we'll probably see those as permanent installments, I would think. I think previously they were probably part of that rolling rotation.
They cycle.
Where they cycle in and out. We'll probably see the ones that aren't on there now probably come back and stay.
And Skyrim, don't worry, guys.
What's that?
Skyrim. We'll get Skyrim. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry. Another way to play Skyrim. And future games, like we already discussed, we will see those day one on Game Pass.
Correct.
Now, for the first part, how will this impact Sony and Nintendo? I'll be honest, I don't think this impacts Nintendo at all. I feel like Nintendo is so far in just they're playing a completely different game, and that's okay. It works for them. It works for, like, you have seen no reduction in Switch sales, in Switch game sales from any of this stuff going on.
And Microsoft and Nintendo are like cool to each other.
Yeah, like we just saw Ori come to Switch, which I think kind of ties back into, Xbox is open to. Granted, I don't even think Ori's technically an Xbox Studio game.
I don't think it is. I don't know. The thing is, I don't think Microsoft sees Nintendo as a threat at all because they're two different markets, and they know they're two different markets. So they don't. It's not a threat to them. So I don't think that they have an issue.
But at the same time, they see it as an opportunity because who has a hold on the handheld market, and who knows not to even compete with the handheld market. So with Nintendo dominating with the Switch, why not push a few of your games out there? It doesn't have to be all of them, but push an Ori out there and you can make some of that money off of that.
Remember I think it was last year, the last E3 we went to. The whole time we were there, the one thing everybody wanted to see was Game Pass coming to Nintendo. Yeah. Everybody wanted to see Phil Spencer walk out on the Nintendo freaking show. Because there were so many rumors about that being a thing. They were everywhere.
And honestly, with as many rumors as there are, it makes me wonder if it was actually like, if they were having those discussions and it just kind of fell through.
So now's a good time. Yeah. Put that Game Pass, xCloud is perfect. That's all you need.
And I think as far as how this will impact Sony, I think that's probably what we covered, but maybe
that's the question.
Yeah, I think so I will fine tune everything I've said because I feel like I've rambled a lot and I've kind of been all over the place just because I don't think I'm even locked into a specific viewpoint yet. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen for exclusives down the road for Bethesda. But what I think it could mean, I think it means that if I had to just throw out an answer now, I think it means that we will see games, these Bethesda games come to both consoles. We'll see them on Xbox and PlayStation. Even though, that's a lot of money to spend to allow PlayStation to be able to play them. But keep in mind, you are allowing people to buy PlayStation 5 games and you're making some residuals off that. It's not like you're just making nothing. But also you still have the incentive of Game Pass. It doesn't matter where the game is available. Xbox is making it clear that no matter where you play Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5, whatever it is, Xbox is the place to do it. Whether it's on PC, mobile, or console, it's in Game Pass, man. You just can't deny it. And if it's available everywhere and you're still the best platform or the best place to play, I think that's all you need. You don't need to make it exclusive because you've shown the audience that you're the only option or you're the best option.
And I still think we're going to start seeing less Sony exclusives because of it. That's basically what my whole thing boiled down to is we're going to start seeing less Sony exclusives because of that purchase, because I believe they're going to be doing some wheeling and dealing. And to kind of spin this real quick onto same subject, but a little bit different. Don't forget, this will in some way affect Steam, and PC platforms as well.
Yeah.
Because again, now you're going to have this service on PC where I can play Skyrim for free on my PC. I don't need to buy it through Steam anymore and stuff like that. So that's another thing. That's another territory Game Pass is slowly starting to get into. A lot less so than the whole Sony aspect of things, but that is something that is creeping that way.
Well, I think it will be like what we saw with Destiny 2 on a grander scale. Because that launched. Did that launch on
Activision?
It launched on
Blizzard's
client. Battle.net.
Yep.
And then came to Steam.
Yep.
And I think they're just wrapping up that transition to where it's only like I think I just got an email the other day like you're running out of time to transfer your stuff over if you want.
Correct.
So I think we'll probably see something similar to where, all right, after some time. I don't know if it'll work for older games or not. Do they bother? I mean, you can't take the licenses away from the people that have already paid, but do you make it unavailable to where you can't purchase it any longer on Steam and you can only get it on Xbox? I don't know what that means.
Or do you just not bother with those really old titles? Like at that point it's like water.
To me, I think that's the move. Don't bother with anything basically from here on out.
Right.
And moving forward, okay, it's only on the Xbox PC app.
Right.
PC wise.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I feel like my brain just went like 100 miles an hour with this one because I came into this and I'm like, I really want to discuss this because I've heard so many different viewpoints and I feel like they're all great. And I think that's what I enjoy about these is because we have so many different views and opinions and nobody knows for sure. And that's what makes it kind of fun.
Right.
Because Tim has this idea of swapping exclusive for exclusive. I don't see that happening, but who knows? I could be completely blindsided, and that could happen years from now.
God of War 3 coming to Xbox with a God of War 1 and 2 bundle package.
Right, exactly.
Kingdom Hearts, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the question. I don't think that's the way that I see it. I don't see it going that way. I feel like PlayStation is too stubborn, and they know that this is their strong suit. Like you don't give up the best part of your strategy, because that's always been what they've had, right? Exclusives, and that's always been their opportunity, or Xbox's opportunity is exclusives. So do you really give that up? I don't think they do. But like I said, you could very well prove me wrong in a couple years.
I would be very interested to see if we hear something about Microsoft trying to let them have an exclusive from Bethesda and Sony denying the trade. I would be extremely interested to see if that happens.
Yeah.
If we hear about these trades being denied.
Yeah, I think, if with as open as it is, like you said, it could definitely be some major PR backlash. No, I think something else that we didn't necessarily cover as an option. I don't want to keep digging up what we've already discussed, but I don't think we touched on this. We could very well see. I'll keep using Elder Scrolls 6 as the example. We could see Elder Scrolls 6 launch on both Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, but we could see it kind of like how we've seen with Call of Duty and Destiny in the past, to where PlayStation's gotten exclusive things. Maybe you get exclusive DLC or early access.
It's always nice to get it first kind of thing.
So maybe those are the kinds of things that we see. I think that's
almost guaranteed. I would almost guarantee that.
Yeah. I think we see some exclusive stuff like that, kind of like bare minimum. Like, hey, if nothing else, here's the reason to get it on Xbox, is because you either get to play 3 days early or you get some extra DLC stuff.
Just what a freaking move, man. Like, the balls they had to buy that. Like, I remember waking up, because I think you put it in Discord when it happened. And I was still really groggy and asleep. And I kind of just clicked on it. And I was like instantly awake. Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It's some of the biggest gaming news we've gotten in years. Like, I think to be completely honest, it's the biggest gaming news we've gotten in years.
In almost in 1 to 2 generations.
Yeah.
Like, this is huge.
This is massive. So yeah, I think we've already wrapped up our opinions, so I won't keep digging them up.
I think that's what makes this so intriguing above all else, is this is some of the biggest news we've had in at least 1 to 2 console generations.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because that's why nobody knows what's going to happen. It's not like we've seen something like this happen before and you can be predicting. That's why there's so many different, this is what I think, this is like, everyone has so many different opinions, because this is on such a massive scale that realistically nobody knows what the move is.
Yeah.
And there's multiple good moves. There's if my move isn't proper, that doesn't mean I'm going to be dissatisfied with the other, because I'm sure one way or another, it's probably a good move, at least for Game Pass owners.
Yeah.
So it's just mind boggling.
Yep. The Xbox is just so consumer friendly right now. Like, I've said it a billion times this episode, but they're just hard to ignore. Like, even if you're a hardcore PlayStation fan, you can't just shy away from the opportunities that Game Pass offers.
I mean, honestly, and this is a simple thing, but xCloud is part of Game Pass. That launching, me being able to play Fallout 76 like I have been at work for 30 to 45 minutes on my break, to do my little daily quests on my tablet, has just been phenomenal. Yeah. A stupid, simple little experience like that it's great.
Yep, 100%, man. It I'll leave it on this. So Phil Spencer, when he was asked about Deathloop and is it Ghostwire Tokyo?
I know
because they were originally PlayStation 5 exclusives, and when he was asked about it, he says we're going to honor that. They are still going to remain PlayStation 5 exclusives, but anything after that is going to be on a case-by-case basis.
Right. Which is fair. That's completely fair. And
good
on them, actually.
Yeah, so I leave it on that just because that just kind of shows they haven't really said one way or the other. This is still up in the air. Case-by-case basis, so maybe they do split it. Maybe we see some that are exclusive and some that aren't.
Right. And I'm sure that for sure. It's not so much the little titles. It's going to be the bigger titles that everyone's questioning.
Yeah.
But I think them honoring the Deathloop thing, not only is it a good move on them, it's the only right move.
Yeah.
Right? Like any other move and you would be looked at as like bad people's.
Yep.
So good on them. And like you said, they're consumer friendly. And they're going down that path. So, there's no good guy, bad guy here between the console generations. I think PlayStation's doing what they're doing, and I love what they're doing, and I can't wait to play the games. And I think Microsoft's doing really well. And I think this is going to be an extremely fun and interesting console generation coming up. I really, really do.
Yep. I think I said it either on last episode or the one before. I love the different directions that we're seeing. Completely. We're seeing this accessibility route with Xbox. We're seeing this, let's show you what the future of gaming really is with Sony. Yep. Both are awesome. For at least for the people that are getting both consoles, we all win. Right. That's awesome that we're finally seeing a divergence from, I don't think previously with the 360 and PS3 and the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, what were the differences? To be completely fair, what were the main differences? Not other than exclusives, not a whole lot.
They're literally identical.
Yeah. So at least with this, now we're seeing a shift to where we're actually seeing some difference in what they have to offer.
Right.
So we'll all win. I actually saved, we had one more question come in from fan mail, if you will. This one's from Fultz, and I left it at the end for a reason. So he asked, what's coming up for the fam? What's something that you can expect in the future? And I don't want to give too much away, but I also want to at least give you guys a heads up. Tim and some friends went on an adventure lately. You might have remembered some of the stories last year of the Denim Demon. You might have even seen him on stream last year if you tuned into Extra Life. I think if you tune into socials or on Discord over the next couple weeks or so, you'll kind of see how that adventure played out for better or worse. And I would say just keep in mind that October is historically when we do our Extra Life stream. So stay tuned for some details there. Outside of that, streams are probably going to change. Tim, if you want to jump into that a little bit, kind of explain what's coming up for you.
We're going to kind of hit the floor running here when it comes to October. So for those of you who don't know me, and for those of you who do, I guess, for anybody, horror is my genre. Always has been, always will be. I grew up on the horror franchise of not only video games, but movies as a kid. That was what I was thrown into. I loved every minute of it. Thank you, Grandma. And so we're going to hit the ground running. I believe it or not, I never played the first Outlast. So I'm going to start, and we'll be playing some Outlast to begin our stuff. And we got some things going on. I'm going to do some collabing with hopefully one of my absolute dearest friends on the streaming stuff. So keep an eye on that. There's some really interesting spooky games that are popping up all out of nowhere that I cannot wait to get my hands on. Yeah. So if you like those kinds of games, you like the scares, you like to have fun time. Now look, so here's the thing. I have played these games forever. Ever since I was a kid, I still very much get freaked out and scared and terrified. But that's why I come back. It's the same reason some people really like roller coasters. They know they could die, right? But they keep doing it anyway. It's the same reason I come back to horror games. I live for that kind of adrenaline rush.
Yep.
So if you like that, if you want that adrenaline rush, I'm telling you, this October, we're going to have some fun.
It's going to be a good time. It's always my favorite time of the year for streams, man, without a doubt.
100%.
With that said, I know we haven't really done like Q&A before, but I really like it. I like getting questions that, because I mean we can ask each other questions back and forth, but sometimes the best ones come from the outside. So if you guys do have any questions, if anything comes up in the news in the next week or so, or just anything next gen related or specific game related, if you got any questions at all for us, you can email them to us at fam@forallmanakind.com. Drop them in our Discord. We've got a fan mail Discord channel, and there you can drop your questions. DM us wherever, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want to do. We'd love to hear your questions, whatever it may be. But I think that's going to wrap it up for episode 78. As always, we appreciate the support. Hope you guys like this discussion. It was definitely a fun one for me, one I've wanted to do for the past week. I guess we'll see you guys in the next couple days for some Spooktober streams. But until the next episode, be safe, take care. We'll see you guys next time.
Later, guys.
Thanks for listening to FAMcast. Be sure to subscribe for the latest episodes and follow us on Twitch, Twitter, and our other socials at For All Manakind.